Ryan asks, oh, hi, Ryan. How do you let go of knowing that they're going to go on and abuse someone else? It's really hard. That was one of the hardest things for me to move past. I mean, you just live with it. You just live with it every single day, and you pray. You pray that their behavior is not going to drive to the next person to suicide. Because you guys know, I know, it can be, it just takes you to such an emotionally low place that, and especially once kind of the flying monkeys come in, right, where they've manipulated other people, friends and family, who are now coming around and attacking you. It can easily push a person over the edge. And it's one of those things, like, for me personally, I was very fortunate in that I was able to contact Jack's ex-wife. And, they'd been divorced for a long time, so there was no like feelings for her at all anymore. And she was able to just give me the validation that I needed. Had I not talked to her, I probably would have gotten hung up on thinking that the relationship could be fixed, because there was so much about it that was so right. And at first, I really thought that he, quote unquote, just had a sex addiction. And then, like, what did it for me with that was he was using my pet name for him as his screen name on Plenty of Fish. And it was like seeing that level, like that lack of remorse, that lack of regard, made it very clear, like, he did not care at all. But I was very fortunate in that I got the validation I needed from her. And then with Steve's wife, it was the same thing. So he, of course, had been triangulating us the whole time, saying that I was, this homewrecker and had done all this stuff, when that was not the truth. It was the exact opposite, in fact. And he was pitting her against me. She'd become a flying monkey and was viciously attacking me over the phone and over email. And we got to talking. And then once we realized what was going on, that we'd both been lied to and triangulated, then we were on the same page. And I think she probably did too, to some level, but she's still lost in that fog of denial and cognitive dissonance. I was able to get the clarity that I needed to fully walk away from that. So if I were, but back to your question, if I were to experience another problematic person like this, or if I was back in that situation, I guess part of me, I would try to warn the next person, but knowing that they're probably not going to believe you, because to the next person, they're getting love bombed, right? So they're thinking what we were thinking. They're thinking that they've met their soulmate, that it's this amazing, magical connection they can't deny. And, that us trying to warn them is just proof that we really are this crazy, bitter ex that they've been told about, right? Because that's what emotional manipulators do. So any warning that we try to give just validates that we're bitter and crazy and jaded. If you were to go about trying to approach somebody, I guess first and foremost, I would not do this if the person is dangerous, or if you feel like you'd be putting your safety at risk at all. So that's, always kind of the baseline there. If you were to try to warn somebody, or if I were to try to warn somebody, I would do it in a way that I would let them know. I would say, you know what, you don't know me, and I dated Jack a long time ago. I don't expect you to believe what I'm going to say, because I don't think I would have believed it had somebody said this to me. This is what I experienced with him. I just want you to know that if you start seeing this kind of behavior, if he starts accusing you of things, if he starts doing, strange things, like that, this is most likely what's going on. And I'm telling you this because I doubted my sanity and my safety and a lot of things for a long time, and it could have cost me my life. So I would frame it in that way where you're just saying, like, if they spin things around, if they deny it, if they blame you, there's a term for that. It's called gaslighting. Or, look up. I would just encourage, like, this is what some of their behavior is. You're not crazy if you experience this. I just want you to know that, like woman to woman or man to man or whatever. I just, human being to human being. I just want you to know that. But again, they're probably not going to believe you. And you definitely don't want, outing a narcissist at all or calling their game, like divorcing them, breaking up with them. It's a lot like kicking a bee's nest. They don't do well when they lose power and control. And so, whatever you go into, where you're going to out them, right? Or you're going to somehow make them lose power and control, you better have a plan in place. Because it's a lot like kicking a bee's nest. Like, you don't want to kick it and then think, well, now where am I going to go? Like, you need to know that before you do it, because it can get very dangerous very quickly. It's one of those things. Like, once you're aware of what problematic behavior is, hold on a second, I'm trying to stop the chat. Once you're aware of what problematic behavior is, it is like the biggest aha moment. I mean, you're going to find, my guess is that, I don't think I'm alone in this. Like, once you're aware, like, truly, truly aware of all the different types of problematic behavior and how it surfaces, you are able to spot it a lot faster. It does take practice. And if you have unresolved vulnerabilities, right? If you still are carrying around some empty buckets, right? Like, if you're lonely, or if you're feeling, for me, I was feeling very unloved and very unimportant pretty much my whole life. And so those were my vulnerabilities. That's how I kept getting tangled up with these people. And of course, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? But I had these unaddressed vulnerabilities. I didn't know it. So sometimes I would get tangled up with an emotional manipulator, but sometimes I wouldn't. And so there was no consistency in that pattern there. It wasn't until I dated Jack and Steve within like a 5-year period of time, where they both were like a Lifetime TV movie, where I had to take a step back and be like, what is going on here? Like, what am I missing? And, you know, in doing a ton of soul searching and getting involved in support groups and reading everything I could about this, and, trying to figure out, why wasn't my life working? Like, what kind of subconscious patterns was I running in? And, now that I get it, now that I really see what problematic behavior was, because I think, again, like, a lot of people have this idea that problematic behavior is like really problematic behavior, and oftentimes it isn't. It's a subtle grinding down of a person. It's silent treatment. It's subtle name calling disguised as a joke. It's little things here and there, like forgetting somebody's birthday or sending them a present a few days late, like letting them know, like, you're not important to me. Provoking fights, making comments with emotional manipulators. And this is what makes a lot of what they say so powerful and so painful, is there always tends to be like a little kernel of truth to it, but it's wrapped in a big ball of a lie. So, for me, for a long time, like, if somebody, if they had made a comment about my weight, or whatever, it was sort of like, well, okay, there's like truth to that. So I guess I can't really be that upset about it because there's truth to that. But yeah, you can be upset about it because there's no need to be hurtful to other people, right? So things like that. But a lot of targets of abusive behavior, they feel like that they are being too sensitive, because there is some sort of kernel of truth to that.
Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.